Oh, turns out the chapters came out today. I thought they were supposed to come out Wednesday, but I guess not. So anyway, hey guys, Lunar27 here, bringing you Bleach chapter 507, The Fire 3. So the chapter begins with White Beanpole examining Yammamoto's bankai, and according to Juha Bach, Zanka no Tachi, it's a bankai where all the flames are sealed into the sword. Anything that Zanka no Tachi cuts, it bursts into flames. However, Juha Bach only saw this bankai once 1,000 years ago, so he doesn't know exactly its full extent of the bankai. It may have probably changed during that time. A couple of Shinigami, Shinsui, Ukitake, Isane, and Unohana, they all be able to sense what is going on. And apparently this bankai apparently is so powerful that according to Unohana, that Soul Society can be destroyed. I guess if, during his battle with Aizen, if Wonder Wise didn't seal Ryujin Jaka, then it's likely that Yammamoto may probably use his bankai against Aizen if he did have the chance, but then again, he'd probably risk killing everyone in the fake Karakura Town arc. So, yeah, it's really that strong. So strong, in fact, it melts, Toshiro's bankai, Daiger, and Huyo and Maru, which was being used by one of the Quincy's who stole it from Toshiro. Anyway, Yammamoto decides to attack at Juha Bach, but he misses and only cut his cape. Apparently, since you'd think that, Zanka no Tachi would cut things and it would, burst into flames. So far there hasn't been any flames yet when Yammamoto cut Juha Bach's cape. And so then Yammamoto tries to slash down Bach again, but he dodges, and the tip of Zanka no Tachi actually touches the ground, and quite surprising, the ground split in half. Did Zanka no Tachi just burn the ground to leave like a huge hole in it? And that's just, wow, surprising really. And then Juha Bach realizes that it was the edge or the tip of the sword that only works on his bankai, and he tries to cut, and then Yammamoto tries to cut Juha again, but he dodges again. Yeah, basically a lot of cutting and dodging. But then Yammamoto decides to explain Juha Bach, his Zanto's ability, his bankai's ability. It's another cliche we see where people tell their opponents what their powers are. Yeah, this happened to Shinji once, explaining what his Shikai can do when he fought against Aizen, and Aizen was able to figure it out. Yeah. So anyway, Yammamoto says that his bankai's ability is called Zanka no Tachi East, Kyojitsujin. And I have no idea what that Kyojitsujin means. But apparently, according to Yammamoto, all the flames that are in the sword are concentrated on the edge of the blade. It neither burns nor erupts, but anything it touches is eradicated into nothingness without a trace. So I guess that explains what happened to the ground when the edge of Zanka no Tachi touched it. That it was the ground that the sword touched, it like disappeared. There was nothing except this huge hole. That's pretty devastating. So all Bach has to do is just avoid the sword and try to cut down Yammamoto. Juha Bach actually figures out Zanka no Tachi's Kyokujitsujin. Yeah, so he figured out his bankai's weakness and he tries to cut down Yammamoto, but he notices that his sword has been cut. So, apparently Yammamoto somehow managed to cut the sword, and then Yammamoto tells him that he was being foolish. He tells him, if there's an east, there will be a west. And apparently he activates his bankai's second ability, called Zanka no Tachi West, Zanji Tsugoki, where he is enveloped in flames, and wow, he looks... I'm not gonna lie, Yammamoto covered in flames, this picture, he looks pretty badass in it. The flames are so hot. They're like 15 million degrees. Now that he's covered by these flames, it looks like that Juha Bach can't be able to touch him. The chapter ends with Yammamoto saying, "Now that I've unleashed my bankai, think of both my body and blade as the embodiment of the sun." So yeah, that's Bleach chapter 507, and I gotta say, this was a pretty good chapter. Learning Zanka no Tachi's two abilities, East and West, it was pretty interesting. And I'm really glad we didn't cut back to Ichigo and Hueco Mundo. Seeing his bankai was actually pretty intense, and since his bankai, apparently now that he's covered in flames, like they're as hot as the sun, probably even hotter, I'm not really sure. It says that the heat is 15 million degrees. And this bankai apparently is so strong that it may destroy Soul Society and everybody in it with just its power alone. Juha Bach must have made Yammamoto really desperate to stop this war if he's risking the lives of the Shinigami and all of the Serite in Soul Society for it. I think Yammamoto probably wants to wrap this up. I mean, if the heat is like this intense, I mean, they might as well try to evacuate Soul Society. So yeah, next week will be a continuation of Yammamoto and Juha Bach. Juha Bach, I'm not really sure how he's going to be able to stop Zanji Tsugoki. And I also have a question. Since there is a Zanka no Tachi East and West, is it possible for it to there be a North and South? I mean, I'm not really sure if there is a North and South, but if there is, then I don't know what could top Zanji Tsugoki, because that is pretty cool, honestly. So overall, yeah, the chapter was basically an explanation of Yamamoto's bankai, but the fight itself, even though it's a little bit quick, it's pretty good. And next week will be a continuation of Yammamoto and Juha Bach, and I know that Juha Bach probably has another trick up its sleeve. I mean, he could try to steal Zanka no Tachi from Yammamoto. I mean, it's possible for that to happen. I mean, he is the new main antagonist after all, so he's probably going to be sticking around for a while. I don't know how, but I don't know how he's going to try to counter Zanka no Tachi, especially now that Yammamoto is covered in flames, which he looks badass in, by the way. So, you know, for this chapter, I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. This was a pretty good chapter of Bleach, and honestly, I can't wait to see what happens next. So, yeah, that's Bleach chapter 507. I'm Lunar Spiral 1127, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.